The panel today that we have is on the age of digital creators, which is winning the hearts of the social media generation. So we are going to be talking about authenticity. We're going to be talking about credibility, about how you guys have found your own voice. How can we find our own voice on the digital platforms? Please bear in mind that we are a nation of 220 million people, and 100,000 people cannot service the entire country. So we need more people to kind of come out and create content. So we're going to start off with introducing everybody. So can you guys just tell a little bit about yourselves?
So my name is Huma Mobin. I run a blog. I'm mostly a content creator. I don't think I'm a blogger or an influencer. I am also an award-winning marketing creative. So I have a company of my own. So that goes side by side, and I'm a mother of two. So I also bring that to the table.
The best thing about, I don't think if anybody remembers, but Huma erupted on BuzzFeed many years ago when she went on her honeymoon by herself, and not just by herself, with her in-laws, because her husband didn't have her visa. So she started taking these rather suicidal photographs that erupted and went viral all across the country, and then BuzzFeed picked it up. All right, Sarah, let's get to you. No.
Hello. Hi. So Sarah here. My blog's actually relatively recent. It's only been around for a couple of years. I started it off during COVID. And it was actually more of a space for me to kind of learn more about my personal style. I mean, growing up, I was very like black jeans, black t-shirt, nothing else, because I was like, oh, I'm too big to wear anything else. And then bit by bit, I feel like I started discovering my personal style. I started exploring different kinds of movement, working out, doing yoga, lifting, and I think I've kind of been on this journey where I'm learning more about myself, and my blog is kind of about sharing that with this community of women on my blog, and them kind of being open to experimenting with different things, whether it's related to style, whether it's related to different work goals, whether it's related to finding a kind of movement that works for them. So it's actually quite lovely to see that, you know, a journey that I've kind of been on has helped other women also kind of go on similar journeys. So yeah.
Amazing. All right, Mujtaba.
So my name is Mujtaba, and I'm an educationalist by profession, and I'm a food content creator. So I've been creating content for food for almost about 4 to 5 years, and you'll probably find me at a new restaurant every single day. And I'm not joking about this. So yeah, and I love to share my travel and food experiences all across the world. And it also kind of just started with, you know, my friends kept asking me, how's the food? Because you go to a new restaurant every day. So that's how I started documenting everything going forward. So that's a little bit about myself.
Oh, amazing. Hi, Ramla. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much. I'm a model. I do a lot of fashion modeling, a lot of fitness modeling. But uske ilawa, I was a founding member of Vakil Online, through which I created a lot of content on legal awareness, legal news. So that's how I've been involved with creating content.
Amazing. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is that, like, you have all, like, you come from very different types of content creation. How did you discover your niche, and what propelled you to kind of go in that direction?
So for me, it was, like you said, the viral thing that went online. And that time, Instagram wasn't what it is right now.
Yeah.
It was a very secluded area. What Snapchat is to Gen Z right now, that's what we had back then. And when that happened, I started getting an audience that just wanted to peek into my life. And at that time, we had a handful of bloggers, and those were even fashion bloggers. It's tarah ke lifestyle bloggers nahi the. So I just let them peek in, and slowly and gradually I found that my voice was being heard. I was inspiring a lot of girls. A lot of women were speaking up about their truth. And that's when I realized, okay, this is something that needs to be done, and people need to put out their truth out there to empower women, you know. So just to tell them that they're not alone. A lot of women stay in their silos, thinking that I'm the one who's going through it. So I try to I speak openly about my mental health. I talk about my depression cycles. I tell them I'm an anxiety patient. And it's just to normalize that if you're going through this, you're not alone. Every one of us has that. So I was able to build a niche around that, having mothers, having someone who's struggling with their work, and all of this to just come together with me. That's how I had a journey. I don't know what it was with you guys.
Okay, so I think for me, it's been kind of similar to Huma, going through certain life experiences, whether they were related to working in a corporate environment, not enjoying that environment and wanting to leave. And then once I left and started speaking about it, realizing a lot of people related to me on it, or talking about learning how to enjoy movement, but not wanting to be a smaller size just because I enjoy working out. And then learning a lot of other women felt the same way about their bodies, or were learning to feel that way about their bodies. Or even actually just enjoying dressing up and not feeling like, oh, maybe if I was smaller, this would look nicer on me.
Exactly.
So it was actually more a journey of self-discovery, and while I continue to share that, we realize that a lot of these experiences we share as women.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I would call my niche. I don't really call it a niche because I feel like it's my life that I'm sharing, and just a lot of women relating to it in different ways.
But I mean, I think that like as individuals, you are a niche market product in any case, right? You're not for everybody.
Yeah,
so, like
of course,
in that
of
way,
course.
like what you're like, there will be some people that will be resonating with you, or other people will not be resonating with you at the same thing. So that's why we say that you carve a niche for yourself. There are obviously there are so many, like I mean, the Pakistani body is not a very petite, like, you know, we're voluptuous women, like that's like, you know,
We're actually, I think South Asian
the
women,
Punjabi bum is a real thing. I don't know how many girls out there can, like, I think everybody can attest to it.
And I think we should own
we're
it
all
and
part of
flaunt
it. Like everybody's got a Punjabi bum.
And you should own it and flaunt it.
And exactly, and it's so incredible that there are people and girls and boys who are coming out and talking about it and actually owning up to what their body looks like, because what you look like does not, your success is not meant or
not
based on
connected.
that. It's based on your mindset. It's the way how you are approaching life rather than what is visibly in front of you. So that's incredible. Like, thank you so much.
you.
All right.
So my experience has been a little bit different than these. So on a lighter note, so it kind of started like when I was young. As a family, we always kind of ate out all the time. So on a Sunday, like we always had brunch, and then on like a weekend, on a weekday, we always had lunch. So my dad would pick me from school. We would change in the car and then go, because I was in my uniform, so we used to change inside the car and then go for lunch at a restaurant. And then we used to travel a lot as well. So the whole, like when we used to travel as well, our whole idea was like, "Achha, hum yahan kya khayenge, subah kya khayenge, dopahr kya khayenge." And when I used to talk to my friends, they'd be talking about, you know, where we're going to see sightseeing, but our discussions were just based on food. So I think that's where it kind of all started. And then I just started documenting everything on this platform just to help out people if they're traveling, if they're going to a different country, or even if they're in Pakistan, it would just kind of help them choose a place where to eat and whatnot. So that's kind of where my niche is, people who are interested in, you know, finding new restaurants, or find a new spot, or like cheap eats, or traveling. So that's kind of
Basically all of Lahore.
Yeah, all of Lahore, yeah, basically.
Khana kisko nahi pasand hai. All right, Ramla.
I think I started off, if I look back and think about the fitness industry when I became a part of it, with the, you know, it was kind of understood that if you really want to make your mark as an instructor, you have to create content and you have to gain followers and you have to create that presence on social media platforms. When it comes to modeling, however, it was very interesting because I joined 3 years ago and there was already this conversation going on that your Instagram profile and your Facebook page is your portfolio. So now producers, directors weren't just looking at who the model was, what she looked like, or how versatile she was in her work. They were looking at how many followers does she have. So that kind of, it was a requirement that you had to create content, you had to create engagement because you wanted to gain followers, you have to put yourself on the map like that. Aur uske alawa, I think when I was doing the Vakil Online project, I realized that there aren't that many social media platforms that disseminate, you know, legal information in a manner lay people can understand. So that actually made me want to be a little more creative with that, and I came out with a lot of content. I don't know if all you have seen it. I hope you have. If you haven't, do check it out. But yeah, that's just how I got into it.
That's incredible. All right. So in regardless of which niche you guys work in, there's a lot of fluidity that's required. How do you kind of keep up with like the trends? Because like the digital world keeps changing, like where there's algorithms. Like I think the algorithm always just kills me. It kills me. I think I die 1,000 deaths every time they change the algorithm, because you're kind of like, okay, how do you keep that balance going, and how do you keep fluid in a market that is, well, more fluid than anything else that we have? There's not as much structure to digital content creation as, say, other industries. So how do you kind of keep that going?
Yeah, honestly, I've never checked numbers. I think that's the worst wormhole that you can, a rabbit hole that you can go into. कि हाय मेरी engagement कितनी percentage गिर गई है, मेरे comments नहीं आ रहे, मुझे likes नहीं आ रहे. I don't think I've ever looked into that. Like I said, the question that you asked before, आपने अपनी niche बनाई हुई. People who are following you for a reason.
No, I'm not asking you कि आपके numbers के ऊपर आप देख रहे हो. I'm asking about how do you keep fluid? How do you keep your ideas, like keep the fluidity alive?
Look, your algorithm is based on that, no? So if your algorithm changes, this is what all of us talk about. कि oh shit, algorithm change हो गया, अब हम लोगों को video पे video डालना है, because Instagram right now is supporting only video content, right? No post, no picture is going to give you that leverage. I know this, but I still won't post a video. If I don't feel like posting a video, I won't post a video. I'll put up a picture, and whatever caption is it, if it relates to people, that is extremely important. Your relatability. Whatever content you're putting out there, if it speaks truth to yourself, you're the brand. You can be whoever you want to be. But if you are true to yourself, I don't think anyone else, if Sarah starts doing, for example, mother post, she'll build her own niche. मैंने अपने हिसाब से अपने बच्चों को रेस करना है तो मेरी एक अपनी organic following. Are you getting it?
Okay, so as Huma was saying that she doesn't like really follow any algorithm, she doesn't like, she goes with what she feels like posting and what she feels like talking about. All right, so another thing was that like, I mean, yes, what she said, that your perspective, like no matter how many digital creators are out there, no one's taking away your uniqueness. So even if there are 2 shows or 2 pages that are talking about the same thing, that doesn't mean that neither of them is going to like, they're taking away each other's following or they're taking each other's voice. It's like the 2 people can have a voice about the same topic or the same kind of content. So how do you kind of keep the content fluid?
Yeah. So I think what Huma said was more about maintaining your authentic brand, but the kind of content you put out there has to keep changing.
Yeah.
If I just look back over the 2 years that I've been creating content, the kind of content that I started out creating was very different versus what it is now. For example, with video content, it's become much more short form, right? Because people quite enjoy TikTok style videos now where they, if you just look at it, the engagement drops after the first 10-15 seconds drastically, right? But if something short, it's under 10 seconds, people really enjoy engaging with that kind of content. So the idea that I feel is that I've tried to remain authentic. I've tried to focus on my niche, but the style of content that I put out there, matlab switching from long form to short form videos, if I'm posting impactful captions, trying to keep them attached to impactful photos so people actually want to read, because nowadays people don't even want to read on Instagram. So I think that, and also kind of understanding how audio and video ties in together.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of new artists release music and they primarily put it out on TikTok because that's where it really goes viral. So you've really got to tap into audio as well, attach it to your niche and put out video content that's short form. And if you do that right, you hit that sweet spot, your content can very easily go viral even if you don't have a mass following.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't been posting for a really long time or doing any of those like standard Instagram things. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Mujtaba.
So I agree with Sarah here. So before it used to be long videos and more about posting pictures, but now Instagram has kind of officially said they're like a video sharing application. So if you even notice my blog, I've actually moved to more videos, and my engagement has really shot up. Like,
of course, yeah.
I have around more than 200,000 people reaching my account now just because I've started putting videos. And as Tara said, people don't even want to read captions. So now I add like text to the videos itself so people can just read everything within the video. And yeah, so that's pretty much about it. I think
it is about like kind of taking, like going with the flow, right? It's about like the way the landscape of these platforms change, like our content kind of molds along with that. Meanwhile, keeping everything like how people are engaging in mind and what you want to do and what you want to create to kind of stay there.
And also like with time it changed, like TikTok right now, because it was raining in Lahore and Karachi and everywhere, so the hashtag I am awesome was trending, and there's certain songs that are trending, so you have to kind of create content according to what's been happening around. Like mango season is in season, so there's a hashtag called mango dessert on TikTok, so you just have to keep on with the trend with whatever's been happening in the country.
Yeah.
To actually get the reach. So
okay, and Ramla is completely like on the other spectrum of
No, actually, I agree with them.
No, in the sense that because your content is very like, because I mean, like, obviously with Vakil, like since you're dishing out like legal advice and like the algorithm and everything changes completely for you. So how do you kind of stay fluid in that?
Right. So obviously, when you're creating content on YouTube and you're trying to post it on Facebook, Facebook algorithms they just mess it up, and they don't. It doesn't appear on people's news feeds, even if you're following you. So there's stuff that Facebook at the back end keeps doing, and obviously there's a technical team that looks after it. But as content creators, generally, jo bhi trending, for example, there's a hashtag going on, there's a type of video content, you know, thak, kabhi kabar wo chalti hai, vlogs and whatnot. You have to do a lot of research to understand what's going on, what all these famous what the influencers abroad are doing, what influencers who have a lot of following, you know, sometimes you have to look at what other creators are doing to get inspired. And sometimes you don't, you know, if you actually are, sometimes you get inspired just by a moment, and if you're artistic like that, then an idea comes to you, okay, oh, we should make it this way, that way. But at the end of the day, you need a lot of research into it to understand what's trending, what can be viral, how to tweak your content, staying authentic to your brand. How do you follow the trend? So it's a lot of, there's a lot that goes on at the back end when you're creating content, obviously.
No, of course it does, of course it does. And how do you guys, okay, so there's like an entire debate that sparks around globe right now. Okay, what is how do you draw that line between public and private? Because there's a lot, you're posting so much about your life. Where do you draw the line? What is private to you and what is public to you?
I don't think I should answer that question.
You clearly posted, nothing is private for you.
Nothing is private for me. There is a line where I've drawn is where my relationship with my husband, I don't really disclose. I try to keep it as real because I try to keep my space as real as possible. If I'm having a bad day, if my eyes are a panda because of Smash Maker and I slept with them, I will wake up and make all the stories, which I'm sure all of you guys have seen. But the point is that I don't have that border, and when I have seen people cross that, mind नहीं करिएगा, ठीक है, comment आते हैं, लेकिन लड़की के diapers fathers ना change करें. You know, like things like that, and it's very common for my husband to raise my child, right? But इस तरह के लोगों को ये आप trolls कहते हैं. What I try to do that when they step into my private life is that I educate them. Okay, that's her daughter. Like it's okay if he's going to change it. आपको इससे मसला नहीं होना चाहिए. I try to explain to them. So मेरे लिए तो whenever somebody crosses that boundary, I think I also come off as a badass. तो ज़्यादातर लोग घुसते भी नहीं हैं कि ये कैसी बीवी हैं आप और ऐसा कैसा है. I have no boundaries when it comes to, like, you guys know that. So I don't think, but I respect that all of you who I follow have kept a very strong boundary on that. So
I think at some point, like, I guess it also is a personal, like how you are as an individual, like how you are as a person, and like what kind of job are you doing, like what kind of content you're creating. I mean, for my show, like people don't need to know what I'm eating. I'll put it up once in a while, but that's not why they're there.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who will start their day and you'll see कि वो कॉफ़ी बनाने से शुरू कर रहे हैं और वो बाथरूम भी जा रहे हैं तो आपको बता रहे हैं और फिर वो सो रहे हैं और पर्दे भी उठ रहे हैं, पर्दे बंद भी हो रहे हैं, and you're seeing the whole day that however they're spending their day.
I also want to add one thing. I feel thoda sa कि no dish or anyone over here, but a lot of influencers put up this very glamorous lifestyle. And now the generation that's coming is aspiring only to that. So I want to put up the reality of my life at least कि ये अगर मेरी और मेरे हस्बैंड की प्यारी तस्वीर आई है तो आप मुझे DM करके नहीं बोल सकते हाय हमें भी अरसलान भाई जैसा मियाँ मिले. I've gotten these and I'm like, this is just a tiny portion of my life that you're seeing, which is why I show them the reality where me and my husband are somewhere arguing or my daughter is not listening to me. So I want to do that. That's why I don't want the boundary to come in, because I do feel there's a responsibility on me to shatter this image कि influencer life तो बस traveling है और प्यारा लगना और everything like that. So that's my...
Yeah, I do definitely think that line is very individual to a person. I'm generally a very private person with my life. So to be a social media person and to be a private person, sounds contradictory, but I choose what to share out of my life. And I try to keep it very real because, like Huma said, I don't want to paint this artificial, glamorous image of my life by only selectively choosing to share the good parts. I'm actually also very careful about how much I share about the people in my life, because this is something that I've noticed with a lot of people. Just because you're choosing to be on social media doesn't mean that your friends, your family are comfortable with constantly being blasted on your Instagram all the time. So I do tend to make it a point to keep the camera on myself. Yeah. If I'm sharing anything about, because often people will ask questions about like, oh, who is this other person with you? Who are you hanging out with? And then you just have to learn how to not, your automatic response shouldn't be to like fight them, because people generally, you're choosing to put your life out there, they're going to be curious about it. So you're either, if you're not comfortable putting it out there, don't put it out there. If somebody's got a question about it, choose to answer, don't choose to answer it. But I think I'm in a good place now with like keeping most of my life private, but the things that I want to share, I share. Yeah.
And I think that's the way it should be. Like whatever you're kind of comfortable talking about, sharing, like that's what you should be allowed to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me, it's kind of easier to, have that boundary because I mostly share my food stuff, but still people do try to like, invade your privacy. As Sarah said, like I went to Maldives with my family and everyone kept asking me, are you married? Are you married? Are you gone with your wife? I'm like, no, I'm not. I've just gone with my family. So I had to literally put up a snap of my whole family sitting on the table, be like, here, this is who I'm here with. So people do cross that. And then even when we have these food blogger meetups and stuff, so I have a female friend, we usually go to the same tastings together. So people start questioning, oh, are you married? Are you both married? Are you both foodies married? And invading our privacy. So people do tend to do that. But
they're curious. I mean, generally people around the world are curious. The moment you the window khologe to chhalang maar ke andar aayenge. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way.
I'm just surprised कि he's a food blogger. तो वो मतलब क्या कि शादी का खाना आपकी शादी का खाना ये आते होंगे DM.
Exactly.
Oh God.
All right, Ramla.
Yeah, I think it's to each their own. I mean, I'm somebody, when I started off, I was really hesitant about even showing my daughter. And I made sure that I do not post any stories, any pictures of her on my public profile. And over time, obviously, you DMs to aate hain, har kisam ke aate hain, but that's part and parcel of it. But uske alawa bhi, like I think it's, at the end of the day, it's your decision how comfortable you are with showing private parts of your life. If you are, go ahead with it. If you're not, that's also fine. At the end of the day, it totally depends on you. So I think for me personally, I've kept most of my life private, and I prefer it that way. But if it's, if somebody is comfortable to show कि वो सुबह चाय कौन सी पी रहे हैं, वो घर उनका कैसा दिखता है, वो किसके साथ कहाँ जा रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, it's fine. I mean, it's up to them. Obviously, that's probably their brand, and obviously, at the end of the day, like everybody's trying to gain followers, everybody's trying to create a brand out of themselves. So whatever works for them, I guess it works. But for me personally, I'd like to just hold back. Yeah.
I mean, like that's one thing that I do definitely want to talk about is authenticity. Like, especially in the voice that's coming out and the content that you're creating, the way you're presenting yourself. Like you just said that, like, yes, people are out there to gain followers, but that's not all they're out there to do. It's about like putting out what you're good at, like what you enjoy doing, what you not enjoy doing. So what you're putting out on social media is predominantly what you really want out there or you are interested in. So where do you keep again, there are so many voices, and yet I do feel that Pakistan still doesn't have as many voices as it requires or it needs, because we are again a population of 220 million people, and there are not as many creators out there to service the entire nation. How do you keep authentic with who you are? How have you evolved as a creator? And how do you keep that authenticity every day? How do you keep bringing that to your work, to your platform every day?
May I answer that?
Yeah, sure.
Because I feel like
no,
pretty much done with giving our answers. That's fine. So connected to what I said earlier, initially I was really scared of putting myself out there as a single mother. And wohi wali baat hai, you want to be authentic to who you are, you want people to know, you also want to raise voice for a certain topic that nobody talks about. So over the years, once you're shuru mein, obviously as a content creator, you're a bit hesitant about how much you're sharing. But I guess you get comfortable with it, and over time you build that confidence to show little parts of your. I mean, I've recently just posted a picture of my daughter. Thoda maine chehra chupaya hai, but I've you know, I've muscled up the courage to show, because I actually want other single mothers out there to know that it's okay, you know, like it's fine. I do different activities with her, and I like to show that to people, that it's okay, you know, we have normal lives. Let's talk about this taboo that nobody talks about. So, you know,
I mean, now that there are a lot of people are talking about it, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's become a conversation. So, I mean, like, the point is just how do you keep that authenticity? So let's just kind of focus on that. What drives you every day to stay true to who you are and stay true to the platform that you are trying to build? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, do you have an idea? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to take the platform?
You know, in a race to gain followers, there comes a point where you actually are willing to lose that authenticity, and you're like, "Acha, main ye bhi try kar leti hu, ye bhi kar leti hu." But yes, you have to, you know, remind yourself time and time again. I mean, wo aa jata hai kuch logo ko nahi aata. You just have to be aware of it, about what you're doing, what you're putting out there, and how authentic it is. Some people are not authentic, and they're not being true to and who they are out there, and it works for them, and they've gained followers, and they like it that way. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's your personal decision. If you want to project that authentic, true self, then go ahead and do it. Otherwise, there are people who nahi kar rahe aise, and they have successful small businesses, they have successful influencer platforms. So I think it's a matter of a personal decision at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay. Mujtaba?
I think you just have to be honest with kind of work that you're taking up. So of course, lots of brands approach me, but then you have to be selective which brand aligns with your blog and your aesthetics and your visual mood board. So I mean, of course, for just example, as a food blogger, if I'm promoting 3 different oils, it doesn't make sense. It just loses your authenticity. So yeah, and you see some bloggers, you know, they'll be doing like 3 mattresses, 3 different companies of mattresses, 3 different companies, and all in like a span of 1 month. It just doesn't make sense. So I mean, I could earn money by taking up all the work, but then I wouldn't be happy with how my feed looks. So it's just being unauthentic to myself.
No, of course. And also, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, when you are like actually true to who you are, your content will project, your content will resonate. Like, if you are not true to who you are, like, you will never be able to own that persona. Ever. You can never, like, I mean, like, you're saying that, like, people have created platforms and they're not authentic to themselves. It'll crash at some point, because you can't, how long are you going to keep that facade up? So we were talking about authenticity, and we were talking about how to kind of keep your voice and your true voice in your content. So Sarah, like, can you take on from now?
So I think that one thing that you said about being comfortable with the person that you are, I think that's the key thing, because I feel like once I started being really comfortable in my skin, not pretending to be somebody else, even with a new group of people I was meeting, because that's what I kind of see Instagram as. Like, you're making new friends like every single day, right? And then if you don't want to pretend to be somebody else, you're so comfortable with being your authentic self, it's really not hard to let that authenticity come through with your content, with your interactions with your followers, or really anything that you do. And then what Mujtaba said about working with brands, I think that's been like that's something that I've had a very strong opinion on, is that I do not work with brands unless they really tie into something that I have to stand for, or that I do genuinely believe that the work that they're doing is authentic as well. So if I feel like I will at the same time have a few, for example, hair care brands approach me, and then if I know that I would not use those products on my own hair, I will just not find it in me to be able to promote that to my followers, even if they're paying quite a lot of money. But I don't think I'd be able to do it.
No, and I agree with you on that, because I mean, like, for example, I've just stopped taking PR packages now. Like, I just don't take them anymore, because I don't want your free magga and to post a picture of it and give you that, like, if I don't believe in your product, like, I need to actually, like, use it, understand what you're doing. So I, like, and like, actually, like, resonate with it and then talk about it. All right.
So basically, अब influencer बनना या content creator बनना has become the new trend. And I get it. This is the new way, and this is a new career path for people. What they don't understand, the new Gen Z that's coming up, is that whatever formula is working for Sarah, I'm going to try that out. Okay, Mujtaba का formula ये काम कर रहा होगा, या Ramla का ये, तो मैं भी ये try करूँगा. Oh, that got viral. I'm going to bank on that trend. What they don't realize is eventually they will not, if they keep following the voices of these 3 people, they will lose out on their own voice, which is coming back to my point कि आपकी brand आप खुद बनाएं. No one can be Huma Mobin, nobody can be Sara Rasin. So whatever truthfulness you bring to your content, you will have authenticity no matter what. It also ties back to marketing because I am also at the sitting end of deciding कि Sara को पास हमने PR भेजना है या उसके साथ collaboration करना है. I'm at the decision making end. I don't go for numbers. I have clients who come कि इसकी देखें million से ज़्यादा following. मैंने कहा आप उसकी engagement देखें. वो 4 hair products उसने sponsor कर दिया, आपके क्यों करेगी वो? She won't have a proper. If you put up for example L'Oreal का shampoo, if that's my brand, and they say कि मैंने Sara के साथ करना है, and I'd be like yeah, Sara ने 3 और brands के साथ किया है. Her followers are not going to go for that brand when you collaborate with her. You'd rather go with someone with less following. जिसने hardly लिया when she understands कि what does collaboration mean. So authenticity in the end influencers का क्या होता है? You get paid for it, right? And I'm at the decision maker. I'm not going to give you money if you're just posting up everything every time and you don't have an authentic voice. This will die down soon. The white noise will die down soon, and only those people who are authentic to their brand will be the ones that'll be left.
No, I think I agree with you to a certain extent because I think there was I think it was Forbes or it was Bloomberg that had just published an article very recently about how influencer marketing is actually going to go, like might not be able, like companies might not even be able to afford it in this recession.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I mean, if the same product going to 10 different people might be curtailed to one person getting that one product and one person talking about it rather than, because there's a difference between macro influencing and micro influencing, and now we live in a world where we have every kind of spectrum. You have things from billboards to TVCs to DVCs to influencer marketing. You have digital content creators. You have all sorts of different platforms and different ways to kind of get your brand name or a messaging out.
And I think to add to that is that also influencer marketing isn't understood to that extent in the local market. So you can be a small business and you can be sending your product to somebody who is a macro influencer, has over 100,000 followers. But either because they're not able to promote it well enough or because their audience doesn't follow them for their opinion, they're not able to convert into sales. And as a brand, you either want reach for your product, you want people to find out about your product, or you want people to buy your product. And if you've got a limited budget during the recession period, you've really got to prioritize and work with influencers who have either been able to sell your product in the past or just spend that money somewhere better, because sending PR doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to translate in sales with every single influencer.
No, of course, it cannot work that way. It just like in the long run, it just doesn't translate that well. Okay, so before we kind of wrap this session up and we open up like for a few questions from the audience, let's start with Mujtaba for this question. But what future for you like look like, and especially in terms of independent content creators, where does the future lie? Like where do you see it going, especially in Pakistan and globally?
Okay, so I don't want to give too much right now, but in terms of my blog and how I see it going, I would like to kind of, since I'm always making content for restaurants and stuff like that, I would like to kind of have my own social media management company where I could, actually help restaurants grow on Instagram, because I know a lot of restaurant owners who come to me and they're like, we're not sure how to make content, we're not sure how to get followers that reach on our page. So I want to be that gap where I can, help them out. Making content for their page and making their page stand out for the audience. Because right now, everything is about social media. So if your restaurant food does not look Instagram friendly, people won't come to you and your restaurant won't go viral. So I want to be that bridge that makes the restaurant goes viral on Instagram. So I would see my blog going towards that direction.
Okay, amazing. But I mean, what do you think of like digital content creators and where's the future lie? Like as a creator, like where is the future of creation? Huma, why don't you take this one?
I feel honestly, and I've seen this trend coming up, that brands have now started moving from celebrities towards content creators. I've seen that, big names like Mahira Khan, Sajal Lily, they were like, yaar, isse better hum 3 influencers utha le and, make an ad around them. And I understand where they're coming from. As I see, and now you would be also seeing celebrity changing the way they were before. Now you see them posting stories, giving you a glimpse of their life, whereas pehle they wouldn't even dare to do that. Ke nahi, koi mere baare mein jaane na. They understand the trend is changing. I feel that now the influencers are going to rise to the celebrity status, which they have. We have worked with influencers जहाँ उनके ज़्यादा नखरे थे और celebrities आराम से बैठी हुई थी. So I feel that they're going to be the next celeb factor. और उसके अलावा ये कि with the changing algorithms, you're talking about fluidity and everything, TikTok is now. And now with TikTok, you have a common man rising to the status of having 32 million followers and charging you 2.5 lakh for a TVC collaboration. So that's something which I was also shocked about, but I was like, hey, okay, this is where it's going. A common man is getting empowered by it. So I feel that content creation is now empowering every sector of your society.
Which is the most incredible part about it, is that as long as you know and you're good at what you do, and you're able to get to the audience, there is a market for pretty much everything. For all sorts of content, there's a market out there. It's about how you're doing it. I mean, one of the largest YouTube accounts in Pakistan is this account called P for Pakao, which does like, and they make the videos are made from a cell phone. I get millions of views because why? Because they're resonating with the awam.
There's a TikTok, I think he's going to get a lot of followers out of Barafwala. All he does, he's literally उसके तय खाना है जहाँ पे वो बर्फ़ होता है, वो slow motion में बर्फ़ को लाता है and पीछे dramatic सी गाने लगे होते हैं और उसकी editing skills was so good कि मैं production के साथ बैठी हुई थी and they're like यार इसको editor के point of view से उठा लें because he is editing a lot. एक camera, बर्फ़ and him. And he has made content and he has, I think, about 1.2 million followers on TikTok. So content by jo aapki authenticity, he sells baraf. So he made it out of it. He's following his authenticity.
I think it's also important to recognize that the Gen Z audience is significant and they're coming up, and trend-wise, they're enjoying TikTok more versus like Instagram. And it's important to understand as a content creator that if you want to stay relevant and you want to stay competitive in the space, and that is what you want to pursue as a career, that it's very important that you're present on platforms where your audience is going to be. So for example, if your audience is older, then you're probably fine sticking with Instagram and Facebook, maybe creating long-form content that kind of audience enjoys. But if you're trying to target the younger generation, which is a bigger chunk of our generation, then you really got to think about what other channels do I have to be on, how have I got to make my videos more trendy, more relevant, and how can I, even for example for Ramla, for having a more serious like business related to legal discourse, how can I communicate this information in a way where it will be relevant to a younger audience, but kind of keeping their tendencies of consuming content in mind.
Got it. All right.
No, that's true. And there's so many YouTube channels लोगों के जहाँ पे वो there's this lawyer who comes back सारे दिन काम करके कोर्ट कचहरियों में, he comes back, he puts his phone down, records a few videos, and he has millions में viewership. And so when we were coming up with content, so it was a challenge for us. एक तो we had to define our demographic, what kind of audience are we reaching out to, and then trying to convert that legal jargon, the complicated information into a simpler, more lay person को समझ आए उस तरह की language में. So it was, it's quite challenging. और हमें समझ नहीं आती थी कि like they would end up with like so many views, and at the end of the day, like we wouldn't. So we really had to get into it and get a technical team on board to understand what was going on. The future is bright, I think, for content creators. But at the same time, it's madness out there because there's so many platforms coming up with metaverse and whatnot happening. I feel like you really have to keep your mental health in check. You really, because I've seen some influencers, and even in the modeling industry, when you go to a shoot, you know that there's an artist who comes on TV, but she also has a huge social media following. तो आप उनको देखते हो every step of the way, she's recording, she's making selfies, she's letting her viewers know what's going on now. अब makeup हो रहा है, अब बाल बल रहे हैं, अब हम set पे जा रहे हैं, अब हम shoot कर रहे हैं. And it really disturbed me that your actual life is being taken over by your followers. So you really, with what's happening in the future, you really have to keep your mental health in check for sure.
For sure.
And you have to really understand the boundaries that you need to draw, or you really have to be careful. And I think there needs to be more guidance on the new content creators coming in, how to go about it. Or you
Look, you can't regulate anything unless you don't have enough people to regulate. Do you get it?
In
We are
fact,
still
there's
not
a
an
law.
industry we're
Yeah.
still not an industry. Like, it's not really considered an industry because we don't even have that many content creators in Pakistan. I feel we need 10 times more.
You're right.
20
and
times
there's
more.
I'm forgetting the exact name of the country, but there's a Scandinavian country where it's law that every time you Photoshop your photo and you post it on Instagram, you have to show before and after,
course, yeah.
and you have to let your followers know कि आपने कहाँ पे Photoshop किया. So yeah, I mean, eventually regulation आएगी. Hopefully, freedom of speech को इतना curtail ना करे, लेकिन yeah, hoping for positive changes. Yeah.
All right, amazing. All right, Mujtaba, we're going to wrap this up with you before we open up questions from... Wait, huh? Oh, you already spoke about it? Oh, amazing. I got so caught up in her. Okay, amazing, guys. Do you guys have any questions for anybody here? Okay, we do have one question. Yeah.
Actually, I have a question relevant to the influencer marketing because it has a great sense of achievement. But at the time, like of purchasing anything, we got a wrong perception because they are being paid of that content. Like, अगर मुझे कुछ भी चाहिए in terms of food or clothing or a perfume or a cosmetic brand, if I run towards the Instagram, there's a lot of paid content towards influencers, and I am unable to sure about the product quality and the sense of credibility which they are showing because they are being paid of that content, so they just misinterpret the market as well. So how we are gonna go with that situation because after getting that product, we are not somehow satisfied with the product quality which they were showing off the customers.
Okay, so I think that like one of the major things is it lies with the viewer itself, that you need to, like, whoever you're engaging with, like the kind of people that you are following on Instagram, you'll get a sense of what kind of content are they posting, like how true are they to what they're using themselves. Like I think Huma or somebody else said that if you're using like Mujtaba said this, that अगर आप वो अगर 4 तेल के डब्बों को वो प्रमोट करेगा तो आपको तो लाइक बिल्कुल भी पता नहीं चलेगा कौन सा आप इस्तेमाल करें ना. So you again, like, you have to go and, like, when you're actually reviewing people that you're following, see what kind of content are they posting, like how many paid gigs are they doing, when they're doing paid gigs, how true and honest are they with themselves even. And that's one way to kind of understand or even navigate here, because obviously, and you're absolutely right, there are so many gimmicks that come out on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, too much to sift through. But again, like, the onus will lie, अगर आप जैसे स्किन केयर का प्रोडक्ट को इस्तेमाल करें तो स्किन केयर इज नॉट फॉर मेंट फॉर एवरीबडी, इट्स नॉट लाइक वन solution for everyone. So something that like Ramla might like or Sarah might like, Huma might like, I might not like it because my taste is different, my skin is different, like my hair might be different. So you have to give that kind of leeway there when you are taking this kind of especially when you're following people on Instagram. Make sure that you know what the kind of content they're posting. Make sure that you understand the person that you're following. Because you're following 15 people and those 15 people are talking about the exact same thing. If I see that happening, I'm going to move away from that product and not look at it. That's like how I would kind of be.
So I think the responsibility lies both with the viewer and with the influencer. I mean, personally, I tend to research a brand before I work with them. I tend to use their product, try it on, and then promote it. And if, for example, it's a skincare brand, I will ask the company to share even the list of ingredients within the product with me or research that they've done on the product, right? Now, most influencers will not go through that level of understanding with the brand. They will just take on a product and they will promote it, right? But at the same time, like Momina said, the responsibility also lies on the viewer, right? Because if your viewers or your followers are not demanding that you be more transparent about this kind of information, then as an influencer, why would you feel the need to do that, right? Unless you have that internal sense of responsibility. So like Momina said, some products might work for some people, some might not, but the responsibility lies on both ends, for sure.
I think even when जब social media platforms नहीं होते थे, traditional marketing होती थी, even then you had to be a prudent buyer. You had to do your research, you had to ask around कि यार ये product use किया कि नहीं किया. So I think now with social media and influencers, you actually have an advantage here because there are some reviews, some product reviews that are actually true. So at the end of the day, you have to do your research when you're buying something that an influencer is promoting. And I think, that's the only way to go about it. It's good that there are influencers who are actually putting out good, actual, true reviews of the products.
Yeah.
So make use of it. Yeah.
Can I just add one thing? मेरा एक फॉर्मूला है अगर वो उन्होंने पेड प्रमोशन में लगाई दी है वो पोस्ट में तस्वीर ट्राई टू चेक इफ दैट गर्ल इज वेयरिंग इट इन हर स्टोरीज इफ शी इज देन द प्रोडक्ट एक्सोर्ड इफ इट्स नॉट वो उसने पैक करके रख दिया और पे क्लोजेट सेल होगी और उसमें वो बेच देंगी दैट्स हाउ आई चेक एंड द ओनली वे यू कैन गेट बैक कि यार वो क्वालिटी सही नहीं है अनफॉलो दैट पर्सन इज नॉट गिविंग ऑथेंटिक स्टफ दैट यू वांट टू फॉलो एज वेल सो यू हैव द पावर टू डू दैट टू
And also let them know why you unfollowed them.
स्क्रीनशॉट लगा दो लगाओ ये इस ब्लॉगर
No, let's not be toxic. That's a bit too toxic what you're saying.
there's
Like, I'm
a
not
manner
going to
to-
sit here and promote that at all.
There's a manner
Uनको
to
बताएं,
communicate that.
I mean,
There's a right-
again, it's somebody's livelihood. You can't really say anything along those lines. Are there any more other questions? All right, we have another one.
So I was just going to ask something that's going to, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
That's going to tie this whole conference together and also relating to the topic you're speaking about, winning hearts of people. And you know, influencers have always been a pioneer because I think up to 5 years ago, nobody even took you guys seriously. And now big brands have realized the potential. So I was wondering if you guys have ever thought of leveraging on the very focused niche community that you guys have and then entering into the Web3 space or the NFT space or the metaverse space and like thinking of creating a brand for yourself in 3D kind of, you know, that whole platform.
Okay, so let me just say one thing. I'm not an influencer. I don't identify as an influencer. I'm a journalist and a talk show host. So that's what I do. But these guys should be able to answer that in a better way. But yes, that is the future. That's where you should be headed in any case towards the metaverse and towards NFTs. I mean, I'm learning blockchain these days in my free time. That's what I'm trying to learn.
I'm a millennial, so I'm still trying to figure out this metaverse thing. But these are almost a decade younger to me, so
Dude,
they know
also,
better.
I'm with you there. Yeah.
So I think the first step would be trying to turn yourself into a brand or something that you really enjoy doing, which is, something that Mujtaba has spoken about that he's considered. And of course, I've considered as well, really taking things that I enjoy doing and sharing with my followers and converting that into the brand. That being said, even though, I'm kind of a millennial as well, I don't know as much about the metaverse as I would like to, and I feel like it's still a space that requires a lot more understanding. And I would definitely like to maybe create a brand in real life first, get that going, and then maybe get onto the metaverse when I understand it better.
Yeah, I agree with Sarah here. Like, I do have a vision of the brand that I want from my blog, but when it comes to metaverse and stuff, I feel I'm not that knowledgeable about that stuff yet to make that decision. But I think I want to take it one step at a time and then kind of build my brand first and then see where I can take it further.
All right, before we wrap up, one thing that I would like to add is that no matter what you're doing today is a stepping stone for what you're going to be doing tomorrow. Like, do you think that in 10 years I want to be sitting here as a talk show host? No, I will not. Like, where my life takes me, that's a completely different thing. Like, it keep growing. And the idea, again, with fluidity is to keep moving along with the way life takes you. It'll take you to wonderful places and, allow it to do that.
One more thing is that कि तुम metaverse की बात कर रही हो, reels नहीं आए यार Instagram में पाकिस्तान में
No, they're here. We have reels.
Hardly कि कई लोगों के पास से कई लोगों में तो metaverse is going to take some time. They don't show up on your feed.
But they're updating. But
what I'm trying to
I
say
think
is
it's
that
too
कि हमको
soon to
बहुत
know
देर
exactly the
आते हैं.
potential जो metaverse की. It's too
No,
soon.
okay.
It's going to take some time. Yeah.
It'll take some time, but I think that that is the direction that you have to head it towards. There's nothing, like we had to be there yesterday, not like learn about it today. We should have been there day before yesterday probably. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for taking up the time, and thank you so much for joining us. And that's it from us. Thank you.